this IDE integrated development environment is open source, and it is liked by a lot of developers. Millions of developers are using it every day, and I'm sure you're one of them. I'm one of them, and then it is provided on multiple platforms. It is provided on Mac, Windows, and Linux. So it is available throughout the system. And before going further on this one, I'm going to just go with the presentation, which is mastering Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to talk about the essential tips and advanced techniques that you could learn in Visual Studio Code. By doing that one, you basically are boosting your code efficiency with expert guidance. And then this expert guidance is coming from documentation of Microsoft, from Visual Studio Code, from programming languages that I'm going to introduce you. There's a lot of functionality and features, and it's a Visual Studio Code is a greatest IDE that I name it one of my favorite ones. So you're welcome to just go on with this one. And then for the agenda for Visual Studio Code, we're going to be talking about the introduction to Visual Studio Code, where I'm going to also be talking about customization and extension. Some of the extension, whether you're doing installation for extension of Python, C, C++, C#, Angular, Node.js, React, TypeScript, any of them, you just install the extension, and now you have all the extension is basically extending the libraries, the list of libraries that you could just extend it. And then there's a lot of other extension for code prettifier and other stuff, formatting codes and maybe snippet and other stuff for help. And then I'll show you all of that also, and then how you can integrate it with Git repository. The Git repository is also integrated with Visual Studio Code. So code efficiency tips will be discussed. Debugging and testing. A lot of the software, when you are writing for the development environment, integration or production, you have to test it. And by testing, you're doing a lot of debugging to just make sure that it passes all the debugging and then all the exception, and then handles the regression testing. All of that one is done at the time of testing and debugging. Version control integration is also a Git repository. And basically the Git is the command line version of GitHub, which is GitHub is for the web interface. And I'm going to show you the Git repository. And Git repository also is Git is the binary program that you install. And then once you install the Git, and then obviously the package and the extension, now Git is available, then you can do all kind of source control. And in the past, we used to use CVS and DKCVS and CC Harvest and other tools for software kind of check-in, check-out, committing and creating maybe branches, creating, pulling data and pushing the branches. All of that one is all integrated with Git repository. So advanced feature of workflows. We're going to talk about that, and then also that was the overview, as you noticed, that the agenda and what we are going to be discussing. The overview of features are basically lightweight and powerful. So Visual Studio Code is lightweight, meaning that it is not too detailed like Visual Studio Professional Edition that the Microsoft charges. And there's a free version of Visual Studio Code, but that's a limited time. Then you have to pay for it, and eventually it is paid. But this one, the Visual Studio Code lightweight, it is for production, and it's you see that it says making it fast and responsive while still being powerful enough of serious development. All the production, whether you do it on the cloud or Linux environment, Unix environment, HPC, supercomputing environment, everything, you can just run Visual Studio Code and as IDE, and as well as client that you could just connect to a Git repository and then do all your work. The nice thing about IDEs, usually whether you're using like a PyCharm or for Python or Visual Studio Code, supports everything that PyCharm does for Python. And on top of it, it does everything for C++, C Sharp, and then .NET, and then um, Angular, React, TypeScript, JavaScript, all of them, HTML, CSS, Bash scripting, everything that you could do, Vim, VI editorial, everything, it is part of the software, it's integrated. The intelligence feature, it allows you to provide intelligent code completion.